We're live, guys. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Black Pokemon Trainer here with Gamer Realms, and today we have Tech Wiz, Retro Styles, Mr. Switch, the QA Ninja, and our guest Geek. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Amazing.
Pretty good, pretty
Good,
good.
good, good.
Doing amazing.
All right. Like I said, Geek is our guest, and we don't know anything about Geek. He's just kind of here.
Appreciate y'all.
So, uh, Geek, man, tell us about your video game history. Like, like how you guys started. The first video game you played, first console. And just kind of show like how you grown from there, and then like your YouTube and Twitch history.
Okay, so you just want me to get y'all just want me to get right in it. Okay,
Get,
well,
get, get in the nitty gritty,
you
bro.
just
We ain't wasting no
okay,
time
so
today.
so this thing. All right,
You
no,
think it's a feedback.
no, I appreciate first and foremost, y'all. I appreciate being here. It's an honor, Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. Well, first, I'm Geek or Q, aka Q, aka Geek, and I guess I go right into the history of gaming. I'm an OG, triple OG gamer, so I'm an 80s baby. So my first console was the NES, and I'm taking it. I take it. Yeah, it's so my first console was the NES, and I'm trying to go back to that first time. I think I was in my cousin's house, and it's probably I'm showing my age here, but it is what it is. I'm gonna say probably 88, maybe around there. So long story short, they playing Mario, and that's when on 1-2 when you see the little jump when you go and you get the mushroom. So I've been knowing that little move since then, and then I just been stuck on video games since then. And then the time Super Nintendo came, which is my favorite console, I found RPGs, and once I found RPGs, it really changed my life, honestly. So it changed my whole perspective of how video games were, and how the storytelling and in the narrative can go for games. So I really that's what changed my whole video game history. Um, my favorite game would be the GOAT game, in my opinion, Chrono Trigger. That's the game that changed everything.
Whoa.
That was the
Yeah.
game that changed everything. 13 multiple endings.
Wow.
You got the crew,
Amazing
Hanabu
game.
Takagachi out there, you got Akira Toriyama out there, you got everybody out there, the all-star crew, and I didn't even know that at the time. Dragon Ball Z was just getting popular in the 90s in the States. So, they kind of look alike. What game am I playing? The first, if anybody haven't played Chrono Trigger, it's if you got to play it on mobile, if you got to play on PC, just even if the controls are clunky, just take it in for the story if you can. And that's what changed everything for me, is because I didn't know what to do. I was used to playing Sonic or NBA Jam, renting Mortal Kombat, sometimes getting my behind kick, that kind of thing. But once I started playing Chrono Trigger, then I got thirsty for everything else. Then Final Fantasy 7 came. And then when Final Fantasy 7 came, I was like, I need something else. I need that fix. So fast forward. So we're going to transition, fast forward through adulting for some years. And y'all know how I go with adulting. For some years, you got to put certain things on the back burner and things, because my dream and goal is to create my own video game, which I've been working on for a long time. So I was wondering, with adulting, how the heck can I merge these two things? And I just got tired of this is just I got tired of working for so many other people, that I wanted to do something that I told myself, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago? I said, I put so much emphasis into somebody else's work so hard. I'm a hard worker. What if I took that energy and put it into myself? And at that time, I was kind of like, doing different things to try to see if I could write books or what I could do. How can I make video games that thing? And then I was just watching YouTube, how everybody does, but not really knowing the mechanics of how YouTube was. So I was intending to do it in 2014. and I had bought a camera, had everything. But for everybody that does content creating, you know, you got to do it then. And if you don't just do it, you probably never want to do it. So adulting happened again. And in 2016, I was like, I'm just going to do it. And I've been blessed with the situation that I'm in, that I can still work, but also be able to devote time to it. And I wanted to be able to take my love for games. That's what Geek is an acronym for. Games, entertainment, anime, and comedy. So my whole channel is built around gaming, anime, entertainment, news. And then I also do like parodies of games and reviews and different things on video games, mostly on Nintendo and heavy on RPGs, of course. Chrono Trigger changed my life. But that's how I decided to try to do that. And it's been a journey, and I'm glad to look at. I've ended up meeting so many different, you know, people who are passionate about the same thing. And that's what I wanted initially when I started. I wanted to do something that was, in order to get to one step, you got to do another step, you know? So I was like, I have to break into this medium somehow. And that's how YouTube and Twitch and everything came into play. I felt like I was talking for 100 minutes there. Nobody said nothing. I'm just like, you want me to say something now?
We were intrigued.
Bro,
we were intrigued.
Okay.
About you. We want to get to know you,
buddy.
They don't
We're all
care about
listening.
us. They see us. They see us every week. They see you like maybe once. So what kind of content do you do on your YouTube channel as compared to your Twitch? Like, I'm assuming your Twitch channel, you just stream, but what do you do on your YouTube?
On YouTube, now it's been primarily news. So I do Geek News Monday through Friday. And I do at least 3 videos of gaming, because, you know, the G is for gaming. And I do at least 3 videos for gaming. Either I'm talking about some news or what's popular or what's have already happened, but with my own like comedic twist to it. So I kind of, you know, I do the whole sportsman thing. I'm an only child, by the way. So that's why RPGs was like ham and burger for me, and peanut butter and jelly, you know, is because I always had a big imagination and collecting things and stuff. I've always collected stuff from the time my grandmother gave me, she used to take me to McDonald's, her and my mom, when I was younger. And I still have all the Happy Meal toys. So I used to take those toys, and then my grandmother would collect Smurfs, and take those Smurfs and those toys and make like stories with them. So even when I had Ninja Turtles, I was always doing that. So when RPGs came and gaming came, it was a perfect outlet for me. And this is in the 90s. And in the 90s, being a geek and a nerd, as most of y'all know, was not the thing to be at that time. People don't understand it nowadays.
That's true.
It's cool.
We got Steve Urkel, and then we got Screech from Saved by the Bell.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel you on that one.
Yeah. That's it. And that was bad representations. You know, they was good dudes, but they didn't get no ladies. They got no play. Laura went and did her thing for 20 goddamn years.
Well, the thing was, remember when he turned into Stefan Urkel, and all of a sudden he had a little bit of a swag to him.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Yeah.
Great show.
And he looked like that all the time, though. You know, he looked like that that actually happened to me in real life. And it was a crazy situation with that. It was some collegiate days, and I flipped it. And that's when I flipped the switch right there. And I just went and kind of Stefan Urkel. And one of the girls that I knew, she was like, "Hey, you kind of look cute." I was like, "So I'm the same person, but you know, all right." But what did that have to do with any of that? Because I went to school for video games at the time, but it still wasn't a popular medium at that moment. So I had to end up going the graphic design route. So when you got to pay school loans back, you want to utilize your degrees as much in any way you can. And most of all the stuff that I do on my channel, from Who's That Black Person, where I decided to do the Pokemon spin, and I'll put a black character from video games or anime or comics, and then in the bumpers of my shows and in the news. So you have to kind of guess that from using After Effects and Premiere and stuff. That's what I did learn from the degree that I got, what I was supposed to be going to get for video games. So it's always been there for that passion for that. So I wanted to utilize that into, you know, hopefully in one day, because y'all know how it go, but hopefully to be able to monetize myself so I don't have to work for someone else at all. I can be, and this whole situation has shown us that entrepreneurships and multiple forms of income is a must. That's why I do Twitch and YouTube. Also, because I don't want to stream on the channel where my news is, because it kind of fluctuates the numbers a little bit. So
Man.
that was it. I was taking a pause. My mouth got a little dry.
Hey man, I'm gonna call you out on something, and you can't get mad at me. But when I first met you, you started playing Mario Kart 8. It was great to have you every once in a while. But man, were you trash? But like over time, like this. Let me tell you this. This guy practiced so much. He started whipping my ass. Like Geek put in the time, he put in the effort, and he got really good at Mario Kart playing with the group of people. But Geek also dealt with that same group of people. He dealt with some toxicity, and they were all streamers as well. And for the most part, when we're in the video game communities, and on YouTube and Twitch and all those communities, we have a positive experience. And I feel like it's important that if you want to, Geek, that you share your experience with this group of people without using any names.
Well, the first thing I'm gonna say is I'm a positive, upbeat person for pretty much everything. I try to take everything as the cup half full rather than half empty. So what I will say in this manner is, I don't even know how to word that really. Some games aren't for everybody, if that makes sense. And that's not just because I'm not really going to go into any of that situation at all, really, because it was, some games aren't for everybody. You know how you go and play a game and you play the game and you try the game out and you're like, hey, that game is cool, but is it something where you can't get into the game? Really, that game is not for you. For me, that was first person shooters. So that's kind of like how the situation was. I have no beef, no qualms or anything with anybody in any situation. It's just that some games aren't for everybody. It's just like some movies aren't. So you go into a situation and sometimes it's just nothing wrong with the people. It's just that you just don't fit into that. And when that happens, you just, you play a game that you don't like, or you play a game that's not for you. You just play another game.
Okay. I got one more question for you, and it's a big one.
Okay.
Your interview with William. That was an awesome video, dude. If you guys haven't seen it, check out Geek's channel. It's in the description. And he had an interview with I can't remember his last name, but his first name was William
Stevens.
William Stevens. If you guys are not familiar with the Final Fantasy VII remake, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are because we got thrown a lot of advertisements at it, he voiced one of the antagonists in the game, Rude, and Rude's actually one of my favorite characters in the game. And he does a lot of other voice acting with video game characters as well. And how did you score that interview, dude? That's huge. And how did it go overall? How did you feel about him as a person? This about the whole experience in general.
That was a follow-up question. I'm reeling from the other question a little bit. I'm like, I ain't really trying to, you know me, bro. I ain't trying to get into no nastiness and stuff. And then I was like, okay, well, what question he got? That's a big one. But I forgot all about that. I did the interview, y'all, for real. I'm like, but honestly, it was a blessing, and it really was. And this goes back to me being a positive person. I'm about to start doing this motivational Monday thing again. I was doing on Instagram, is because especially in times like this, I wanted my YouTube and everything I do, and it's getting to the point. I'm a storyteller, to be coincide with what my beliefs and things was in life. And it took me a while to kind of, how am I going to maneuver myself in that manner? You know, how am I going to, you know, take that dream and utilize it? And hard work and working. And I really enjoy doing YouTube. I legit love editing. I love editing, learning it, doing it, and everything. It just excites me. I set and I can and I got templates. I love watching what I do come to life. I do parodies. I gotta do some parodies. I did some parodies with the Friends song with Persona. I chopped that up nicely. Of course it's, you know, it got flagged, but that's not the point. I didn't care about that. You know, and monetized anyway. But so what happens is I have a friend named Eris, believe it or not. And when me and her first met, she said, "Oh, you're not gonna remember my name. If you can't pronounce it, everybody always gets my name wrong." And I said, "How do you say your name?" She said, "I say my name like Eris." And I was like, "Okay, so you spell it with an A or you spell it with an E?" She said, "I spell it with an E." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "I'm never gonna forget your name. You say it just like this character on a video game that has a tragic tale." That's all I'm gonna say. Even everybody, you know, but that's all I'm gonna say. And I was making, when Final Fantasy VII came out, all my content just derived right to Final Fantasy VII. It's my 1B game behind Chrono Trigger. And that also changed the way of my storytelling was. It changed the face of video games, really, especially in the RPGs. Everybody had blonde hair, big swords, and spiky hair at the time for at least 10 years. So it's still, look, they got to go back. Square Enix had to go back to its best thing in order to get the hype up again. And then they gave it to us in a piece. And I love the game, the remake, by the way. But that also goes into this, the remake. So I'm out here in the lab, y'all. You know how it is to be in the lab. I'm here sweating in the lab. I recorded all of the gameplay and I've been cutting it up into like anime 20-minute segments, like a walkthrough, but putting bumpers on in the commercials and stuff like that and airing it on the channel. So I'm sending it out. I'm sending it out to people. You know, you gotta push it. I'm sending it out and I send it to my homegirl because, well, her name is, you know, Eris, and she don't know nothing about video games, anime, no anything. That's not her thing. But she watches it and she says, I said, just watch it because I'm trying to see for people who don't really watch or play video games, would they like this? Because don't look at it as a game, look at it as a story. And look at it as you was watching a 20-minute show like Game of Thrones. Like I got my mom in the game. Well, I gotta drink some water. I got my mom in the Game of Thrones. And it was because of the story. It was because I got my best friends in the Game of Thrones. It's because of the story, or the Star Wars. It's the story. And she liked it. She said the first one was a little bit long because I was doing it an hour because I wanted to be like a Game of Thrones show. And then I got some feedback, and mostly, you know, female feedback. And that's the feedback you want to take a lot of times. And I got that feedback and I was like, let me cut it to 20 minutes. So I cut it to 20 minutes and I sent it to her again. And then she goes, you know what? She sent me an Instagram, a clip. And then she was like, you know what? She goes, I have somebody I know that, you know, did the voice to this game. He played some black guy in the game or something, you know. So I checked it out and said, well, you know him, you know, well, could you put a word in that I like Final Fantasy and maybe I could do an interview? And he agreed to do it. And he went and checked. We both did the, you know, you got to screen people first. And he went and checked my channel out. And then I knew who he was, his voice. He also played Jax. He also was Conrad on a Telltale series. I think it was the Walking Dead Telltale series. And he also was in Horizon Zero Dawn, the DLC. I had heard his voice a few times, but I didn't know exactly who he was. So just like he had to look me up, I had to look him up. And just so happened, because I had been working on all that Final Fantasy stuff, the Final Fantasy stuff was out there. So he checked that out, checked my Twitter out, and checked different things. So you know how Nintendo, or when you about to get a deal, you know, you can tell like the increasing things, and you know how your numbers look, and they look different, people watching your stuff. So we end up agreeing. We made we talked over email, so you know, the business stuff first, and then we did a sample video, and then we just went in it from there. And it was a great experience, you know, and to talk to somebody else that's passionate about you know, not if it's the same thing but similar things, is a very rewarding situation. And I know I keep on going back to this, but especially in certain situations like now, it feels good when you can feel positivity. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of the situation it was, and it also allowed me by interviewing him to know, hey, bro, keep on doing what you're doing because you're on that path. Because that was a blessing, y'all. Even when I was doing it, I couldn't even believe that it was happening. I mean, with all due respect to Will, he ain't Denzel or George Lucas or nobody in that spectrum, but in being on a AAA title that millions of people have played, to be one of the only African Americans leads in the game, which is also a huge deal as well. To be able to interview him just off the whim, because my friend Eris, who don't play video games at all, liked my video and because she watched my video, she knew what that was. If I'd never sent her that, I never would have had that experience to be able to talk with him.
Yeah, man, that was an awesome video. I saw it, I loved it. Good 40 minutes. I didn't even know it was that long. It seemed like it was 15 minutes, to be honest with you. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm glad you're able to get the chance to sit down with them.
Oh, can I say something real quick too? Let me ask you if y'all have seen it. Did I cut it okay? Because that means a lot. Did I cut it all right? Because I had a lot of technical difficulties for that video.
In my opinion,
I really had a lot of technical difficulties at first.
In my opinion, it was cut all right. I mean, Granted, my editing skills is trash.
No, I mean, was at least watchable. What is it cool? It was all right.
No, it was great, bro. Like, I liked a lot of the transitions that you used in it. Like it felt like it's smooth. Like it felt like it flowed together perfectly fine. And honestly, felt like it didn't even cut at all. But some of the transitions you use, like you can look at it and like tell that if you edit videos that you spent a lot of time on it, you want to make sure that it was perfect. And I think you did a good job on it.
I appreciate it. I wasn't saying that to get. I was really being sincere because in the beginning the audio was real low and I had to go learn a new damn skill to basically adjust the audio. And I said, how can I was like, okay. When Murphy's Law, when something can happen, you be like, can it happen? Can it happen? Oh, wait. Since this is video games, y'all, you said, let me just say this, because I always have to tell this tragic tale here, and it goes with this as well. And this didn't make the interview. And the reason why this didn't make the interview, because me and him had talked for a good hour and 30 minutes. But what happened is I talk a lot. And I wasn't trying to dominate the conversation because he was, who I was interviewing. And but before on the clips I talked about it. Final Fantasy VII was spoiled for me. One of my friends, my neighbors, who introduced me to RPGs, spoiled it for me because I was taking too long for the game. So, I was hurt, y'all. So I was hurt. So until this year, I never fully beat Final Fantasy VII without codes because I was hurt. I went and resurrected characters with the Game Shark. I don't know how many of y'all remember the Game Shark. And I felt that even though I beat the Game Shark used to boost up things. It was like a hack. And you buy it for like $60-$70. It was legal, but it was a hack. And you plug it to the back of your PlayStation. And then the 64 had one and you can plug it in the back. I think, or was it in the top? I can't remember what the 64 one was. Or was it the cartridge? I can't remember. But a long story short, I basically never felt that I truly beat the game because I cheated, because that's just my personal thing, So I went and beat it for the Switch. But I was hurt about that. So I was scared that something else might happen. And that's also why it took a long time to beat the remake. I was scared that, man, I got this interview. What's going to happen? Kind of thing. It's Final Fantasy VII. What's going to happen? So the audio was a little, I had to adjust and learn a new skill for the audio. And then I had to learn how to crop a picture because he had a background because he was doing it on an iPad. So I had to kind of like make no excuses to do it. So I say that to say this again, this work, whatever your dream or passion, and that by no means is, the end all things. And I know when he has to, he said we was gonna chop it up again once everything is in the clear, when we can go back to work and everything. So I'm excited for that too, but it's just hard work and perseverance. Really, if you got a dream or a passion about it or anything, you got to do it, you know.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I'm actually glad that I took the step to go on YouTube as well. And I'm sure a lot of us here are happy that we took that step too, because look at where we're at now. You know, we get to have these awesome podcasts with you guys, and I actually got to meet a lot of the cool people along the way. I actually met Mr. Switch in person at one point, and he's all the way out there in Wisconsin. I'm out here in California, so I can just be able to have those kind of opportunities, by being a part of this community and building this community. It's awesome. Anyways, no offense, Geek, but we're step away from you a little bit.
Said you was gonna use me. So, I appreciate you letting me know first.
Nah, man. You're still here though. I mean,
I'm still here.
I know you got some. I know everybody actually got some opinions on some of these new game releases or game trailers that we have going on right now. Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk. I know QA. I know you excited for that one. Yeah.
That was like one of my go-tos. I mean, I had the PS1 for PlayStation. I had the OG 1 and 2. I have for Dreamcast. I had Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Yeah, I mean, I'm pumped. I mean, I think it's gonna be fun. So I think it's supposed to be dropping the remaster. I think a remake of Part 1 and 2 September 4th. Which I think is kind of crazy because it's dropping for PS4, Xbox. I'm not sure if it's dropping for Switch. I know it is dropping for PC. I imagine it's got to drop for Switch. It's the biggest console out right now.
I think what I saw, like you said, QA, I saw it for PC, for the PlayStation, and for Xbox.
Yeah, so it might be available for like Steam. I think it's kind of crazy though, because with the PS5 dropping at the end of the year, or supposed to be dropping at the end, I'm surprised they didn't think to push it for the PS5 release. But I think because of everything going on, that the PS5 might even get delayed into earlier next year. I would imagine, with everything going on, that they decided just to keep it for PS4. The current gen consoles, which I think is a smart idea, because most people are going to have a PS4, Xbox before they get a PS5 or the new Xbox that's coming out. I'm really pumped about it, especially because I'm a huge fan of the series. I think they're going to be remastering, not just through the graphics, but they're going to be redoing some of the stages. So it's going to be kind of a fun callback to the late 90s when Tony Hawk was popping. I'm a big fan. I'm all for like remasters, like when they did, the Crash Bandicoot, Insane Trilogy, and obviously, recently Resident Evil and Final Fantasy. I'm all for it. I think for the younger generation, the non-80s baby, 90s kids, I think it's good because it kind of introduces them to what we grew up with. Hate to be biased, but I feel like our childhood games were, it was just a special time for us. So I think it's gonna be fun for that, and it might make them curious to test out the older versions. Like if you play Final Fantasy Remake now and you're curious to check out the OG PlayStation 1 version, which in my opinion is like one of the GOATs, like the GOAT RPG game. But yeah, I'm pumped up. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to see.
I'm excited for it too. What I like about it the most is like it seems like to be going on the same path that Crash Bandicoot did and Spyro did, is that it's literally keeping the gameplay the exact same. So you get to relive, your childhood, but like you get to relive it exactly the same way, but with better graphics.
Exactly.
Everything's updated, and like it makes me curious because like when they did Crash Bandicoot and when they did Spyro, like they kept the game mechanics exactly the same between 1, 2, and 3. Same thing with Crash Bandicoot. They didn't add anything extra to number 1 that was in 2. They kept number 1 the same and number 2 the same. So I'm kind of wondering like if they're gonna do that with. I really hope they do this with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 when they remake it.
Yeah,
that's something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, it was when we first got our PS2, my nephew had sold it to me, and when we got the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, my wife was like, "Oh, I like that game," and I was like, "Say what?" And I was like, hey, you like Fun Hawk Pro Skaters? He's like 12 years later, you know, we've been together. And, you know, if you're married, you find out different things along the road. And I was like, oh, cool. So we played together. And then I told her, babe, the remaster's coming out. She goes, oh, yeah, we got to get that. It was cool. She was all excited for it. I was like, well, for now, they only have it on, like I said, Xbox, PC, and PlayStation. So I'll pick it up on Steam probably.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Actually, this is a good question for Geek. So the other day we were talking about like remasters that, you know, games that you wouldn't mind seeing remastered or remade, redone. I said like Donkey Kong Country series from the Super Nintendo. I think it'd be dope to see it all remastered, all three of those games. Is there any games you're in your mind that you're thinking, man, I would love to see a remade, you know, with current graphics or redone or?
I immediately would like to say Chrono Trigger. That's one I would really like to see remade. I don't want to see it like Octopath, and I have no beef with Octopath. I got hours. I got hundreds. I got some hours in Octopath Traveler.
That's a bad game right there, Octopath Traveler. Dang.
It's good.
Fire
It's
right
good.
there.
I don't want it to look like that. I want it to have its own graphics. Like, give Chrono Trigger what Chrono Trigger needs. It's one of the GOATs. Give Chrono Trigger, you know, their love. But I think what I would like to see, honestly, over Chrono Trigger, and I just thought of this now when you asked the question, I would like to see Xenogears again. With this day's current graphics, and even what they could do with the game, they could make that game do some first-person shooter elements. They can make that game do like open world elements. They can do flight simulator, because you're in the gear. And with modern day graphics and then the customization, you have some Armored Core fans that you can get from old and new.
Absolutely.
That would be Xenogears, and chop down a little of the dialogue, just a little bit, you know, maybe 15%. Because they was a little bloated, but you can make that a real action RPG-ish type game, even like some Devil May Cry type action base, if they did it right. Like, that would be, I would love to see that.
Yeah, good taste in games.
So thank you.
I know.
He's got really good taste.
I know we talked about RPGs a lot, guys, but we're going to go back to RPGs again because they're awesome. Paper Mario Origami. I'm not sure how I feel about it. But Retro, what's your take, bro?
Well, what's interesting was that the last one came out in 2016 on the Wii U, so it wasn't really that long ago that they had the last Paper Mario, and I believe it was called the Color Splash. So it wasn't that long ago. So a lot of people expected, like most Switch games in the beginning, were ports over from the Wii U, which really never happened. But that's neither here nor there. I like that each Paper Mario game is different. Each one is its own different thing. Because like if you take it back to the roots, Mario RPG, that game was a killer game. That game right there, if they made all of them within that series and they took all of that and went forward with that, that would be awesome. And I think that's the element that they missed out on every single game. And I know they try to make it all like RPG status, but if they just went back to the roots and took it all back, I think that would be great. I mean, granted, the graphics were cool because everybody kind of literally looked like folded pieces of paper. Graphically, it looked good, but since it's coming out of my birthday month, I'm going to have to get it. You know, July's coming out. I'm going to try it either way. I don't really have any caveats to the game, except for I just wish they had that same element as Super Mario RPG. So in my opinion, I'm going to buy it just to try it. And I wish that Nintendo did this with all their titles, that they had demos. I think that would be a good selling point if they had a demo with that. In my opinion, that would be something that I feel that would be great. But I'm pretty excited to see it, being that every one of them, each one of the Paper Mario series is different. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It looks cool. The trailer looked really like, it was cool because it looked like the Super Mario 64 castle. But then there comes Princess comes out, and then all of a sudden she's like, join me. And he's like, no, whoosh. He gets sucked in. And so it was cool how they teamed up with Bowser even, because they had to defeat the Origami King. So it was cool. how they took that element, kind of like they did in Super Mario RPG. That's the part of that I like, is that in Super Mario RPG, you kind of teamed up with Bowser to get your castle back. This element's the same way. You're kind of in the same respects teaming up with Bowser again. So I kind of see little hints and pieces of the Mario RPG series coming back, but I really think that Nintendo should bring back Super Mario RPG elements, more of those into that, because I think that would rock.
I feel like in terms of Paper Mario games, the Paper Mario game that came remotely close to Super Mario RPG was actually Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I thought the story was awesome. The gameplay was very similar to the original Paper Mario, but they added a couple of new elements. It was ultimately a really good game. Not Super Mario RPG, but probably one of the best RPGs that came out in the GameCube.
You're right. It was very close. That's one I really, really like, though, because of the fact that it was as close to Super Mario RPG as you could get. But it was really cool, though. It was really cool.
Do you feel like Paper Mario? Because I saw a little bit of gameplay, but not enough as I would like. Do you feel like Paper Mario Origami will be closer to the original first two Paper Mario games that came out for the N64 and the GameCube? Or do you feel like it's going to be something completely different?
In my opinion, I feel like it's its own different thing, because I feel like more of the RPG element was in the original Paper Mario. If you go back to 64 even, how they had Paper Mario and then they took it to the GameCube, all the RPG elements were there. And I feel like this is more open world. I didn't really see an RPG element to it as much as open world.
Okay. And you know what they really need, guys? They need Paper Luigi. That's what I'm waiting for.
Get some Luigi there.
Yeah.
You know what they really need? What they really need? That they really need Gino.
Gino's
that's
bad.
What they really need. That's what made that's what made Mario RPG. That was that Square that Square influence. That little that's what separated the two. Is they took the Nintendo out of it, really. They just used the characters. That's one of my favorite games. That's my favorite Mario game.
I was reading
my favorite Mario game behind Mario 3. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I was reading a bunch of different blogs about Square and Nintendo and how they had differences, and that's why going forward it's hard for them to actually take the Mario RPG element and go forward, is because Nintendo with their IP is just like Sony with their IP. I mean, you can't blame them. They protect their IP, so they can't collaborate together. They can't take that franchise forward. And Gino, man, he was like the best character. You find him in the woods, and you're playing with him and stuff. The way he just interacts with each character, his battles. That game to me still stands up to this day. Because just the graphics alone on that game was completely mind-blowing for Super Nintendo. I mean, even the Final Fantasy games for Super Nintendo didn't even look like that. It was amazing how that Super Effects chip just completely pushed it to its limits. And it was just really awesome.
Yeah.
And
if Gino becomes on Smash, I'm maining him. I don't care if he sucks.
I already said that.
Since Melee, I've been writing letters. I'm that guy. Yeah. I'm that dude. I make videos about I don't know how many videos about Gino. Probably too many, but a lot of, even when I shouldn't talk about Gino, I'm talking about Gino.
He's bad though.
Gino fits in with Smash Brothers so nicely. I mean, there's other Square Enix characters there. He knows we want him. It's not like it's a secret. It's like, come on, everybody else in.
He needs to be there.
Man, I'm just thinking about it right now. They gave us Cloud. Nothing wrong with Cloud being put into Smash Brothers, but Gino has more of a Nintendo element than Cloud ever will. Because that's the only games you only see Gino on the Nintendo. You see Cloud everywhere nowadays. And I'm over here thinking all of Gino's movesets, everything that he could possibly do, how they can design them, what his ultimate smash would be. I mean, I mean, you guys love Gino a lot more than I do, but I would love. Like, I agree with Geek. I would love to see him in Smash. I would probably make him as well.
Smash
What?
would be worth the game if they just said, "Oh, by the way, we're dropping Gino in." Boop.
Like we did Piranha Plant.
Yeah,
I've gotten in
just
debates with that.
Yeah.
I've gotten
was
debates
crazy.
with that. I'm sorry, Black. I'm sorry, but for me, there's 129 different Piranha Plants. I don't know which Piranha Plant
Oh,
that
shoot.
is. We know who Gino is. He has dialogue. His name is. We just can't pronounce it. We know who Piranha Plant is. He's on every game. He like Cloud. He get around. He's just
Around. Wow.
Gino. All right.
There's only one Gino. Only one.
He's only one. It's only one. He's only one.
Hey, I think we all should just write a letter to Square. Hey, come on. You guys gave us Cloud. Just give up the Ghost, put it in there, and we'll be okay.
You know what? All Nintendo needs to do is just give him a couple $1 million. Be like, hey, Nintendo, hey, Square, here's 20 million. Let us put Gino as our last character in the Fighter Pass Season 2.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
He still has a chance. I still think he has a chance. I haven't gave up yet.
No, because even if they use his character as is, as a retro character, he still looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could beef him up, but he still looks good as is. Because I went through and played it, and it's still just the bomb.
Yeah.
That's all I could say. The bomb.
Yeah.
Also, we're gonna go back into some new games because there's a lot of crap happening right now. There's a new game that actually came out on mobile, Kart Rider Rush. I don't know a lot about it because like it literally just came out. It's like in beta testing right now. But who's here has played it?
Me. I first saw it as an advertisement. You know, like when you're on your phone, you get all these. If you're a gamer, you'll see all kinds of gaming advertisements on your phone, of course. So I saw it's all Kart Rider, and then below it's all downloaded on Google Play, and I'm like, because it said Kart Rider for Nintendo Switch, Xbox. I mean, any platform, it's on there. And so and on the bottom in fine print, download on Google Play. I was like, really? And it's like 1.5 gigs, and I was like, well, I'll try it out. And it said in beta testing, and usually you don't expect much from beta testing games, period. So I was all download this, and I downloaded it, and in my opinion, it stands straight up to Mario Kart, the bomb, and it's free right now, so you can download it. I'm not sure on Apple, but I know they have it on Google Play. But you can just check on Apple; they may have it on there. But it's super cool because right now it's online, and you could either host, and you don't even have to do anything. Like you could just show up, and a bunch of people be on there, and the moves are cool. You do a lot of drifting. Character-wise, they only have like 2 characters, like a male character or a female character. You either get blue or pink because it's in beta right now. But it's an amazing game. Graphically, I did not expect much from a mobile game at all. Mobile games to me are coming up like big time. And I've even seen Final Fantasy games in upwards of $30 on Google Play.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Ooh.
even Romancing Saga, I believe, was $15.99, which is pretty pricey for mobile.
Wow.
So I mean, the car I would definitely recommend Kart Rider Rush and Kart Rider when it comes out because it's super awesome graphically too. I mean, it looks like console gaming in your phone, like it's that good. And if you get a chance, like most phones, you can cast up to your TV. Oh, it would look amazing casting it up to your TV. So it'd be just like if you're playing it. So it's pretty cool.
And I can't speak for you unprivileged people that have Apple, but if you have an Android, it's literally the very first game you see when you go into Google Play.
Oh, that Kart Rider?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first ad on there. They're promoting it big time right now.
So
At first, it's a few hundred megabytes, but then it tells you as additional content. So be aware, you need to have at least 1 gig of space on your phone left. So just a fair warning.
it's like for downloading the first 300 megs. Oh, here's an extra 5 gigs.
Yeah.
So you can have all the characters.
The multiplayer, the server is great. There's no glitch on it at all. It's really cool. But I'd recommend it. It's awesome.
And also, I think this actually either happened this morning or yesterday morning. I can't remember. But Nintendo added some trash games to their Super Nintendo lineup and their Nintendo
Oh my
lineup.
god. Don't do this to me.
Dude, those were trash.
The most horrible. I'm sorry, I have to butt in real quick, but I've been talking so much shit lately, and I'm Mr. Switch Nintendo part of life, and I'm so disappointed with the shit they keep bringing out. And I'm looking for Batman Returns, Turtles in Time, something. Donkey Kong Country. I know we got on the minis, but for real, we need something
Cool.
line up our life for real.
Did you look in the comment section? People were hyped for those games. They were
Some of
literally
those games do look okay. Two of the games, the 2 shooter ones, look pretty nice.
Oh, the Cowboy one and Rygar.
But the rest of it's just more crap.
It's like
Yeah, they offered one Nintendo game.
Huh?
Yeah,
Everything other than the shooters.
Yeah, they offered just one Nintendo game. It was Rygar, and I was like, "What happened to the second one? Like, what happened there?"
And it's like I never even heard of those games before. Like,
You never heard of Rygar?
No, like, granted, my Super Nintendo experience
Oh,
is
actually
like
pretty decent. It's not bad, but it's not like, oh my gosh, you have to play it. But it's not bad.
there is one game I want them to add, and some of you guys might agree with me, some of you guys might disagree, but I want them to add Tetris to the NES lineup that they have.
Yep.
I love Tetris. My dad loves Tetris, and my dad, he had a stroke about a year or two ago, so like he can't really do much with his right arm, but he can do almost everything with his left arm though. And or maybe I did say that backwards. Either way, one of his arms is out of commission. So I was thinking about getting him a Switch, and like if he can play Tetris with just one Joy-Con, I feel like he would excel so great, like so much in it. My dad loved Tetris, like that was his game. It's like that's one thing I want them to add to the Nintendo lineup for, or the regular Nintendo lineup for personal reasons.
Nice.
Speaking of strokes and being healthy, there's a lot of things on the contrary where people say that video games are that they're bad for your health, they're bad for your mental health, they make you gain weight, they turn you into killers, psychos. The list goes on. There's various politicians in our country and probably other countries as well that are advocating against video games because they think that they're the reasons for a lot of the crazy things that are going on in the world. But there's also a lot of information on the contrary that says that video games are actually healthy, which I think they are healthy. I mean, look at me. I'm a healthy guy. Mr. Switch, how do you feel about that?
I actually feel quite good about it because it's kind of something that I wanted to bring up for a while. There's so many things I can bring up, but I just wanted to point out a few things regarding, say, let me make sure I'm on the right part here. I got this kind of written down so I don't mess it up. So go straight to. Oh, here, my bad. Here it is. I'm good. Why video games are healthy and good for you. I think in a lot of ways, everyone can pretty much see in terms of what is it that what's that one thing that Retro you were just playing recently? It was on Wii. Your fitness pro. What was it? I forgot what it was called.
The Wii board.
The Wii board. The Ring Fit that just came out. A lot of those things are, helping us. For like myself, I'm an overweight gamer, but I'm trying to find my way, and I'm actually looking for that like crazy, trying to find it. Can't find that particular item, the Ring Fit, but there's good reasons why Nintendo doesn't. I mean, they end up putting out some good products for us in terms of that. But I wanted to bring out more in terms of, let's say, gaming brings out helps us become more super social. I was very, very unsocial a couple of years ago, and popping into this, being a streamer and things like that just a few years ago, it kind of brings out myself to be more social and making new friends. Here I am today with all you guys, awesome guys. It's just like I never thought I'd be in that with such good friends, and it's just it brings a lot out of myself to show that hey man, I can do this. These guys are awesome. They do the same thing. We got a big, great community. So that's what I think where a good part of gaming comes from is being super social. It helps us with our strategy skills and coordination as we play and learn a lot from even shooter games or whatever it might be. You know, I could say it helps a lot with my depression. If I have depression or something and something going on, I actually have like a family member who has the coronavirus, and it's just kind of like I help myself. I just kind of play a little bit, get my mind a little bit focused. I actually took some games to that person and gave them the a couple of the NES and Super NES Mini, and they're playing it right now. So I'm using gaming to help us in our when we're a little too much anxiety or working with our depression and things like that. So and let me skip this one right here. I want to go into
the what's interesting though, that we bought that Wii Fit board was we bought it a while back ago, but we got it brand new in the box at a secondhand store for $5. And we went, yeah, it was pretty cool. And we went to buy the Ring Fit, and we forgot to put it in our Amazon cart before this was way before.
Oh yeah.
I was telling you about that, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
And
right.
we went to order it like a week when the pandemic started, and it was just gone, like sold out. And it was like, and so I actually tried my Wii Fit board. My wife goes, "Have you actually pulled it out of the box?" I was all, "Nope." And then I tried it, and man, it was like BlackPKMNTrainer said, I almost had an accident trying to get on that thing because it's like you're snowboarding. You know what I mean? It's actually really cool. You're just like, I went like this and lost my balance, you know? And it was pretty interesting, but it's like Mr. Switch said, it's a good way to stay healthy. And that, and my sister-in-law bought us Just Dance, or it was for my daughter for Christmas, but we ended up Ubisoft giving us, was it 60 days free for the Ultimate? So the Unlimited, I mean. So we were able to play like Just Dance and be healthy instead of just sitting there like couch potatoes.
Yeah, I mean, definitely as we play more, and I think through the years, playing a lot of like puzzle games, and you know, a lot of times it helps me. I think sometimes helps me better, make better decision making, and through all the things I do, whether it's Zelda or something big like that, and you're struggling to get through a certain part of the game, but you finally realize it in real life. You just kind of, I think the skills kind of work together with real life and with gaming all together. It enhances our ability to learn. I think that's what it does. And I think there are times we have to watch out for if something is a bit abusive in terms of anyone who's a bit abusive with Fortnite. I don't want to make any names. I'm just saying, just kind of, you have to make sure you put enough time, let's say enough time for here. Don't forget about life, do your gaming. Don't forget about life, do your gaming. Again, it helps you a lot with your focus and attention. And I think that's where gaming becomes healthy and good for us. And people are always going to dishonor it or, you know, disagree with it, but we just have to keep it going. Keep doing what we're doing. And I was as a young kid and loving Nintendo, I was teased a lot back in the early 80s, you know, early 90s. And I would hide people from knowing I liked Nintendo for a minute, but now it's just like, as we grow out of some of that, from that phase, we just want to teach the younger crowd nowadays how this can benefit us, you know, all together.
Yeah, to me, to piggyback off of that, great point to piggyback off of Mr. Switch is saying, it's kind of like, for example, back in like 91 when Mortal Kombat came out, and like I feel like the government was trying to make it into like they were trying to like blame Mortal Kombat for being so violent, where like that was the cause of domestic issues, the cause of murders was Sub-Zero ripping out, you know, a spinal cord off of Kano or something. I feel like it was like people who don't have the experience of playing video games, they're looking a way to blame video games for a lot of things. And, you know, I understand that it can have influences on the wrong, you know, people. Like if you can be, what's the word I'm looking, if you are easy to get impressions from it, then I understand it's not for everybody. But to sit there and blame video games for everything, then you have to sit there and blame hip hop music for everything, or rock music for everything, or alternative music for everything, Or even like when you go to see a movie and you see like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, Rambo or Rocky or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just, you really just got to know your audience. But I mean, to say that video games are like bad, I mean, I can give an example of when a video game is good for you mentally, like Donkey Kong Country 3, Donkey Kong Country 2, Donkey Kong Country 1. If you guys ever play those games again, I invite you guys to play those games again. Those games are hard as hell. They're extremely hard games. And when I was playing it on my Super Nintendo Mini the other day, Donkey Kong Country 2, it was like, yo, this is like, it's hard. Those games are really, really hard. And it's like, to play those games without like save states, like nowadays you got save states on these emulators. Back then we didn't have save states. You had like to put in a password and that was it. But like we didn't have save states. Those games were like for kids. And if you can't tell me those games are not good for your brain stimulation when you're like struggling. Those games are hard. Tetris is a hard game. Even like old school games like Pac-Man, Mrs. Pac-Man, those games are really hard to play.
I think with oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying that that helps with your mental capacity.
Oh, for sure, definitely with that mindset. When I was at the time I was working with the assisted living home, I was one of the activities people that helped some of the elderlies. Let's say we had a part where we were all playing Wii games, and we were playing Wii bowling and things like that. I even showed videos of myself and my favorite guy George and everyone else from Gene and these. I was helping them. We were all playing bowling. They were all being active. I remember seeing them just sitting there being quiet and alone, and I brought them out and they got so into it. And George kept beating me at Wii bowling, and it was just like, what is going on here? But it really showed how they keeps them active. Could it take away, add more years to their life with them being more into this, whether we're young or old? But it really was inspiring to see these guys get involved with, like, you know, how video games do help everyone of all ages.
Well, what Mr. Switch was saying, my nephew, he's ADHD, and we tried to introduce him to just a regular Nintendo, and at the time he had zero hand-eye coordination. He just couldn't do it. He threw down the controller, just frustrated, and he would just say, "How come they can play?" And I was like, "You can play too. Come and play." We give him the controllers. He had a hard time looking at the controller and the TV. He had like zero. So it took like 3 or 4 weeks of him getting that down. And we were able to actually, through video gaming, help his hand-eye coordination. And I remember telling my wife back in my 20s, I did a study, just a personal study, wondering if that's really true about gamers and hand-eye coordination. And it's true. Gamers have the best hand-eye coordination and reaction skills because they're able to react. And now their families are proud owner of a Nintendo Switch, and that boy is good on that because we took the time to show him that video games aren't a bad thing, because he knew the tablet. That's all he knew growing up. He's like 7. You know, he's not that old, but he just knew the tablet, and he couldn't get it down because it was a controller. And I told him, my sister-in-law, I said, that's why we play video games in this house. They're stimulating for your mind, and they're good. And she said, yeah. She said, thank you. So I didn't realize video games would help out that much. And I was like, it does. It's good for your brain. It's good to teach. Now, hours and hours just sitting there like vegging, probably not. But I mean, it's a good skill to learn, and it teaches good hand-eye coordination. It does. And so I'm really proud of my nephew. He's come a long ways in the last 2 years with this hand-eye coordination.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty much all I got.
It looks like we're getting close to that hour mark, guys. Let's open up the floor. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about? Like, what's on your mind?
Tech Wiz, do you have anything, dude?
Currently, no. Unfortunately, I'm baking here, so my brain is, I'm like a boiled egg here. I can't turn the air conditioner on because it'll drown me out, but I'm sorry about that. But next time I'll have a portable fan in my face. To listen, in my head, that's as far as my brain will let me work.
I do think what's cool about the Nintendo is they're very smart right now, and they're putting most of their games on sale. And I think that, like, just ourselves alone, like, I've already filled up my SD card. It only has like 30 gigs left, and it's smart that they're putting them. They've always had cheap games, but like good titles that are cheaper. Like Splatoon's like $40. Some games are like 30. I mean, they have like really killer deals during the pandemic, and it's very smart. Even like I think I've heard even Xbox has games on sale right now in the PlayStation market. So a lot of them are like being smart, and gaming right now. It's cool to see that Nintendo Switches are. It's not cool to see that they're not on the shelf, but it's cool to see that gaming now is a go-to thing. And they've said that since people have been gaming during this time, like Mr. Switch said, people's depression levels have lowered because they have an outlet to have something to do. They're not just like thinking about the next thing or what's going on, or like people have concerns during this time, and that's natural for that to happen. But now they have a way to get out of that and kind of get into a game. So it's pretty cool that now gaming is a thing for everybody. You're not just grouped up as a gamer. Now it's expanding.
Yeah, I mean, with everything going on, since we can't go out into the world, we can just pick up our Nintendo Switch and play some Animal Crossing and figure out how Tom Nook's gonna take all of our money today.
You go, boy.
Something I do want to close with before we head out. Everybody here who's here right now, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch to some capacity. We're out here making content, and we have people coming to see our content. And some of the people, they come through in the chat and say, "Yo, what's going on, Retro? What's going on, Mr. Switch? Geek, how you doing?" And like they be like on our comments, being like, "Yo, Tech Wiz, that was a great video. Q8 Ninja, thank you, man." And like those there are those people that are not like actually physically there saying anything. They're just kind of there. But you don't realize, most of us don't realize how our content impacts other people until we hear about it. So you guys could be out here doing like what you guys could think like, oh, I'm just out here streaming, just doing me, being happy. But by doing you, like, you could be helping someone out with their depression by giving someone an outlet like, hey, this is like my favorite streamer, Black Pokemon Trainer out here trying to get shinies. And that, like, I had 2 situations this week, and like 2 where like that happened. Someone reached out to me and asked me to record a video wishing her brother a happy birthday, which I did. And I thought that was really cool. Like, like someone likes me.
That's cool,
like,
though, dude.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh yeah, I made it. His birthday was on Wednesday, and then like he came through like on the stream like the next day. Like I had everybody wish him a happy birthday. Like at first I thought it was fake, and then like I was like, and like when his sister reached out to me, because she reached out through Instagram, and like me and my wife was going through like the pictures together and like just to verify. And then like we saw a picture like of her little brother who I was wishing a happy birthday, and he was actually playing Pokemon on his Nintendo DS. I'm like, okay, it checks out. But another situation happened this week. Because I posted about that on my Facebook about how how this happened, like how excited I am, how happy I am. And then one of my coworkers from a job I had 5 years ago reached out to me, like commented on it, and then she said, "Hey, you look like that guy that my son watched. What's your name on YouTube?" And I said, Black Pokemon Trainer. And then like she commented back saying like, "Oh my God, my son watches you and like he loves your videos." And like he's telling all his friends right now that my mom like worked with a YouTube star. And like that literally like it honestly brought me to tears. And all I'm saying is that you may not think that whatever you're doing on YouTube is impacting people, but when you have people coming through saying hi or not saying anything at all, you are making a difference in those people's lives, and you are making them happy. And like that's why they're there to see you, because they love your content. So everybody just keep doing what you do. Keep making great content. Keep making people happy, because with everything going on in this world right now, that's what we really need.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
100%.
True.
Gotta be inspirational. I gotta bring that out because it's just like I said. Again, you're just saying how bad things can be, and how things can flip around any second. And that's why every day I call my brother every day. Whew, hold on, give me a sec. And it's just like to see what he goes through every day. He's actually a lot better. and he's going through his stages of actually, I say, it's the recovery stages, but to the way he said it, where he was in the past, meaning the last 2 weeks and how hard it was for him. And in talking to the doctors, and I talk to him every day. I'm like in my sleep. I wake up like, dude, are you doing all right? How you doing? He'll tell him if his breathing's okay, but it's just like, I helped him. Today he's calling me, and he's saying, I'm stuck at this level in Super Mario World right now. How do you do this? Like, damn, it's all right. All right, I'm gonna do a live stream. I want you to watch it. I'm gonna show you how to do it. So I was playing Super Mario World, and I played a game from first level, and I did the whole game. So that way he can go back and watch the game. If he needs to go back after the secrets I found for him, so he found where he needed to go to find the extra, boxes or whatever. And I'm just saying, whether it's inspiring someone or helping your family member or getting through the process. And again, just because I know, he's recovering, they're saying, like, again, we're all worried, think to flip around upside down, but you gotta give all the love you can to whatever the situation is, whether someone with coronavirus or someone that, again, the inspiration that you gave these children, and then just whatever it is everyone does, just don't stop, keep doing it, and don't choke up like me. Because like, man, I almost lost it. But it's just like, it's beautiful what we bring to the table and what we're showing everybody else. Because like, it's never going to stop. We're going to keep showing everyone what we are, who we are. And again, I'm going to say thank all you guys for all this.
Yeah.
I like our group. I like the guests. This has been a really, really awesome experience. And I was telling Mr. Switch the other day, it's kind of cool that it's gained like momentum, and like Pokemon Trainer says, that you never know whose life you're touching and whose life you're affecting because of just who you are. And I really like that he said that, because you don't. To us, we think we're just another voice on the internet, but what if you're an inspiration to somebody? That's why if you look in my videos, I always say be the best version of you, because don't be a fake, be somebody else. And I like that all of us, we're just transparent. I like that the fact that all of us are just us, it's who we are. And with Black Pokemon Trainer, two people reached out to him, and it was like super cool. That was very inspiring to hear that, because it's like, oh, okay, we're not like at the level we want to be yet, but we're still touching people's lives because of what we do on the internet. It's pretty cool.
Anybody else got anything else? Or
I'll say I agree with what you guys are saying as well. I've done work as well where I worked with adults with disabilities, and I also for 3 years I worked with them, and I seen how video games impact. I know I went back, but how video games impact people's everyday lives. And it's very interesting. That was one of the reasons I wanted to make a series for people who don't play video games. That might not be their thing, but try to reach them in another manner. I did a college paper about that too, how video games touch people in a different way if you took the video game part out of it, like just like with cartoons and anime and Star Wars, certain things people think of you in a certain manner if you like those particular things. And now it's mainstream. And now the same things that people hated on are the things that are healing, if that makes sense. And it is a great honor to have the privilege to do it, because not everybody could do it. Because if everybody could do it, everybody would do it. Not everybody could, get on it. It takes a brave kind of person, honestly, to get online in front of, you don't know who's watching you, to bear who you are. Because a lot of times, I know this has happened to y'all before, somebody might bring something up like, oh, you said this in video such and such, or you said this like 2 years ago. What? I don't remember. I got, over 100 something videos. I got video. I don't know what I said in that, in that particular thing. I had once a friend, and Black, I feel exactly how you felt. But it wasn't the same as this person that you didn't know. This person was my my homegirl, and she had a son, and he watched my videos, like especially some of my earlier videos. He watched a lot of my earlier videos talking about Nintendo all the time, and she sent me a picture of him in front of the screen watching it. And like I remember before she had her son, you know. So it is a warm feeling that somebody is looking at you, or you be able to help somebody. That's what I was talking about earlier. I think I wanted to go back to doing like the motivational Mondays. Like I listen to Evan Carmichael heavily. I don't know if any of you guys listen to Evan Carmichael. He has like the top 10 rules of success and stuff. But it's very motivational things. And I realize in my own channel, I do probably like once a month or bi-weekly, like a vlog. And I'm surprised how many people watch it and, you know, feedback, because I'm just talking like how, you know, how we've been talking today. You know, I'll talk about video games a little bit. We just talk about what's going on and how to kind of stay as positive you can, because no, you know, nothing's perfect in life's, you know, this is life, but to try to always look at the cup half full instead of half empty as much as you can, as you know. But that's all I got. That's all I got to finish it up for me.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for coming through. Tech Wiz, Mr. Switch, the QA Ninja, Retro Stylz, and our guest Geek. Everybody, you guys have been great today. I really do appreciate you guys coming through. This is Gamer Realms, aka or featuring the Nintendo Bros. And for everybody that came through on the YouTube and to watch our podcast, I really do appreciate you guys coming through to watch. And everybody, have a great rest of your weekend. Be safe. If you go out, don't go out in crowds. Be smart. Don't be stupid.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys.
A great weekend.
Have a good night,
All right,
everybody.
guys.
All right,
have a
take
good
care,
one.
guys. Nice meeting you, Geek.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
man.
All right, guys.
Good
Nice
night.
meeting you guys too.
Take care, guys.
Please.
Good night.
And we're over.
And I'm actually still live. We're still live. I wanted to, I'm just gonna say something really fast. I want to thank everyone in the text, everyone in the chat who's been chatting with us. Let me call some people out. People, let's say Matt Made, Oscar, Oscar 1258. Let's see who else popped up. Let's see, Kotetsu popped up. Let's see who else. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, those guys who popped up, and Gladys Rose, and everyone else, and also for my boy from the old job, from Sister Living, Jose, he goes by Javi. So I want to thank him and everyone else who showed up. So all right, I'm definitely heading out. I'll see you guys next time.
Night.